Welcome back, BBVians. We finally made it to the last explainer in our incredible journey together. This is episode 9 of 9 in our Kalinga Parivar series, and today we are witnessing the absolute breathtaking finale of the Ratha Yatra, the glorious return. We've already covered the epic onward journey, but the return trip, honestly, that is where the real magic, the secret devotion, and the truly dazzling spectacles happen. And we're going to see how this all unfolds, both locally for our community right here in Bangalore and all the way in Puri. So let's dive right into the colossal chariots, the mountain of gold, and a love for sweets that literally transcends the heavens.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the roadmap for the deity's return. We've got 5 fascinating stages to cover today. 1, the pull of home. 2, the reverse chariot journey. 3, a sweet maternal detour. 4, the golden attire spectacle. And 5, a divine marital reunion. Let's get started.
Starting with Section 1, the pull of home, preparing for the return journey. For the past week or so, Lord Jagannath, his brother Lord Balabhadra, and his sister Devi Subhadra have been resting over at their aunt's house.
Now, to keep us anchored, let's look at this exact timeline of events. The onward journey kicked things off back on July 16th, but our focus today really zeroes in on July 24th with the Bahuda Yatra. For our own community, this marks the beautiful return journey from Brigade Buena Vista back to the Radha Krishna temple in Mandore. Then, just a day later, on July 25th, we turn our attention to Puri for the stunning Suna Besha, or golden attire, before everything finally wraps up on July 28th with the ultimate return.
But, the preparation for that return actually begins really quietly before they even leave. On the 6th day of the festival, there's this profoundly symbolic ritual called Dakshina Moda. The priests bring out a garland of divine consent, and then one by one, these absolutely colossal wooden chariots are carefully, meticulously turned southward to face the eastern gate of the Grandicha temple. It's not this massive, loud spectacle. Instead, it's a quiet, highly emotional signal that the deities are getting ready to go home. It kind of shows us that even the gods experience that universal human feeling of homesickness. Moving right along to Section 2, the reverse chariot journey, diving into the grandeur of Bahuda Yatra.
Fast forwarding to July 24th, it's time for the Bahuda Yatra, which translates to the reverse chariot journey. And as our own local deities head back to the Radha Krishna temple in Mandore, there's a fascinating practical contrast to point out between the two main legs of this journey globally. The onward Rath Yatra is, of course, globally famous and draws absolute peak, sometimes overwhelming crowds. But the Bahuda Yatra? It's kind of a well-kept secret. Families and elders actually prefer this return trip because you get the exact same spiritual merit and the same immense grandeur of those massive chariots rolling down the street, but with slightly smaller, much more manageable crowds. It's a perfect mix of devotional wisdom and just good practical planning.
So how do they handle the logistics of moving these deities back? It is fascinating. First up is the Pahandi Bijaya. These idols of Jagannath and Balabhadra are incredibly heavy, so they aren't just picked up and carried. They're moved in this rhythmic, swaying, step-by-step procession. They are literally pulled and pushed with silken ropes, swaying almost like a child learning to walk, all to the heavy, pulsing beat of drums and cymbals. And once they're safely hoisted aboard, we witness the Cherapahanra. This is a moment that perfectly captures the deep humility at the core of this entire festival. The Gajapati Maharaja, the traditional king of Puri, arrives to personally sweep the floors of the chariots with a golden broom. So you have the highest royalty acting as the humblest servant. It's really powerful. But why do millions of people gather just to pull these ropes? Well, this ancient quote from the Bhamadev Samhita really spells out the immense spiritual stakes here. Devotees truly believe that merely touching those ropes, or honestly, even just beholding the chariot, cleanses lifetimes of sin and frees a person from the cycle of rebirth entirely. So, pulling the chariot isn't just some physical community act. It is a direct, physical connection to the divine that offers ultimate salvation.
Let's move to Section 3, a sweet maternal detour, pausing at the Masima temple. Right in the middle of this massive, overwhelming spectacle, as the chariots are thundering down the Grand Road, they suddenly stop. Why do they stop? Well, for a snack, of course. Specifically, they pause at the Masima temple, which belongs to their maternal aunt, goddess Ardashini. Legend has it that the aunt requested they stop so she could feed them. And I mean, how could they say no to their aunt? The deities are offered poda pita. This is a humble, traditional Odia baked cake made out of rice, coconut, and jaggery, and it's said to be Lord Jagannath's absolute favorite treat.
I just love how charming this is. The Supreme Lord of the universe completely halting his cosmic procession just to savor a slice of homemade cake from his aunt. Which brings us to Section 4, the Golden Attire Spectacle, and the dazzling Suna Besha. While our local deities have made it safely back home in Bangalore, the very next day, on July 25th, the world's eyes turned to Baradunda and Puri. And I want you to just wrap your head around this number. 208 kilograms. That is the approximate weight of the solid gold that is hoisted up onto the chariots to adorn the deities in Puri. This mind-blowing tradition dates all the way back to 1460 AD. King Kapilendra Deva had just returned triumphant from his southern conquests, and he donated 16 cartloads of gold and diamonds to the Lord. He ordered that this incredible bounty be crafted into specific ornaments for the public to see. And this is exactly what those 208 kilograms look like in practice. The wooden deities are fitted with Suna Hasta, which are these massive golden hands, and Suna Payar, golden feet. They wear towering golden crowns, a special golden peacock feather for Jagannath, and these giant, hanging golden earrings. They are entirely transformed into a dazzling spectacle of gold and precious stones. Hundreds of thousands of devotees flood the streets just to catch a single glimpse of the Lord shining in this Suna Besha attire. It is literally brilliant.
Finally, we reach Section 5, a divine marital reunion, the sweet conclusion of Niladri Bijaya. So it's July 28th. The golden ornaments have all been packed away safely, and it is time for the deity's actual return into the temple's inner sanctum. But there's a slight catch. Remember, Lord Jagannath left his wife, Goddess Lakshmi, behind for over a week with a promise that he'd return quickly. Well, she is not happy about it. In this fantastic ritual known as Lakshmi Narayana Bheda, Goddess Lakshmi actively bars his entry at the temple doors. It is this wonderfully dramatic, highly relatable domestic comedy played out on a massive celestial scale. She is furious at being neglected, and the temple servitors actually play out this whole marital dispute, acting on behalf of the divine couple. So, how on earth does the Lord of the Universe coax his way out of the doghouse and back into his own home? He offers his wife a peace offering. And again, it's sweets. Specifically, the incredibly famous Odisha sweet, the Rasagola. He basically has to bribe his way past the front door with these delicious syrupy cheese dumplings. This tradition is so deeply beloved that the entire day is now celebrated globally by Odiyas as Rasagola Dibasa. And honestly, it perfectly closes out this massive festival on such an incredibly sweet, joyful note. All of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to ponder. Why do we give our gods such profoundly human flaws and desires? Think about it. In just this one festival, we see the supreme creator of the universe craving his aunt's baked cake, getting locked out of his own house by his angry wife, and having to apologize with a box of rasagolas. Perhaps it's simply because a God who understands our sweetest cravings and our most relatable domestic squabbles is a God we can truly feel close to. That beautiful blend of supreme divinity and deeply relatable humanity is exactly what makes the Jagannath tradition so uniquely special. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and a truly heartfelt thank you to all the BBVians out there for joining our community on this incredible 9-part Kalinga Parvar series. It has been an absolute joy exploring these deep, vibrant traditions with all of you. Until next time, keep learning.